Happy Tuesday! Hey, 8th grade. So today we are going to be doing linear equations, equations of lines that pass through 2 points. So we're going to find the slope if we have 2 of the points on the graph. How do we solve and find the slope of that line? So I first want to remind you that the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So if you will remember correctly that the m stands for the actual slope, so the rise over the run, and then the b, that is your y coordinate of the y-intercept, so where it crosses the x-axis. That's typically where we start when we are graphing out slope. We start at that b, and then we go up, or we go up and over. So we rise and then we run, right? Okay, so that's just a quick review. So now let's look at, if it says to find the equation of a line that passes through the points 4, 2, and negative 5, 3. So there's a couple ways that you could do this. So one way that we could do this would be to plot the points on a graph, which is what I've done here. Although this way would be very hard for me to do because I do not have grid lines on this board. So I'm going to have to use this other method. But you could plot the points. So I've plotted 4, positive 2, and negative 5, 3. So then I could create a line, and then I could count how many units it goes up and then over, and that would give me my slope. So that's one way that you could do that. Another way is to use this formula, m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So it does not matter which set of coordinates you use as your 1s or your 2s. You will get the same slope either way that you do it. I just used 4, 2 first because that is the first coordinate that they gave to me. So the 4 would be my x1, the y1 would be the 2, and then the same thing here, this would be x2 and y2. So the x coordinates, you're just, one's gonna be 1, one's gonna be 2. The other, your y coordinates, you're just identifying which one is 1 and which one is 2, okay? So now that I've done that, I'm going to plug them into this formula. So my y2 is this negative 3, so I put negative 3. Minus the y1, which is this positive 2. So don't forget you're subtracting, okay? So negative 3 minus 2, okay? And then my x2, that's going to be this first one on the bottom. So we've got a negative 5 minus this 4, because that's my x1, okay? So now I'm going to actually solve. So negative 3 minus 2, that's going to give me a negative 5. Remember, if your signs are the same, you will add and then keep the sign, keep the same sign. And then we have a negative 5 minus 4, which is going to be negative 9. So I have a negative 5 as my rise and a negative 9 as the run. Don't forget, when you have a negative on the top and a negative on the bottom, those two are going to cancel out. So we are going to end up with a positive 5 over a positive 9. So this is going to be our rise, and this is our run. So this, in this equation, y equals mx plus b, we have already solved for the m. So we can replace the m with 5 over 9. Okay, now let's solve for the rest of the equation. That's a review of how to find the slope. We've already done that together in class, and we did it a little bit a couple of weeks ago. But they did not just ask for us to solve for the slope. If they did, we would be finished, right? But they said find the equation of the line that passes through the 2 points. So we solved for the slope. We know that y equals 5 over 9. This is our rise over run, x plus b, okay? But we have to figure out what this b is. Where are we starting? Where is this line crossing the y-axis? So we have to solve for that part. Okay, this is the part that's new. This is the part that we haven't covered yet. So we've solved for slope, but we are going to use this equation, the y equals 5 over 9 x plus b, and we can actually use that equation to solve for the b. So we are going to use that and isolate the b, okay? When we do that, that is going to give us our y-intercept, where it is crossing that line, okay? So here's how we're gonna do it. So they've given us 2 points that are on this line. We can choose either one of these points to solve for this equation. I am going to use this first one, the 4, 2. Okay, so I've written it up here. So we've got y equals 5 over 9 x plus b. This is the slope that we just solved, okay? Now we are going to solve for this b. So in order to solve for the b, we have to isolate it. We have to get it by itself, okay? But we have to plug in these coordinates that are in this equation for the x and the y in order to solve for this b. So I have written above each one, I've written that this 4 is the x, this 2 is the y coordinate. In case you forgot, don't forget that the x comes before the y, just like it does in the alphabet. So I'm going to plug in the 4 where the x is and the 2 where the y is. So here I've done that. So we've got 2 equals 5 over 9 times 4 plus b, okay? So now we've got to multiply and isolate that b in order to solve for it. So I'm going to be multiplying first. I'm going to leave this 2 alone for right now. I'm going to multiply this 5 over 9 by 4 over 1. Okay, I'm going to take that 4, put it over 1. When we multiply with fractions, we are multiplying the numerators and the denominators. So our numerators, 5 times 4 would give us 20, and 9 times 1 would just give us 9. So we've got 2 equals 20 over 9 plus b. Okay, we're almost finished, but not quite yet. I have to isolate this b, which means that I need to move this 20 over 9 to the other side of the equation. It is a positive 20 over 9. So when we move it to the other side of the equation, we're going to be subtracting it. So I'm going to subtract it from this side and from this side, okay? When we subtract 20 over 9 minus 20 over 9, these two are going to cancel out, okay? Then I've got this b is the only thing that is left on this side of the equation, okay? But I still have to subtract this 2 that was over here minus 20 over 9. If you can think back to your rules of adding and subtracting fractions, we have to have a common denominator when we add and subtract fractions. So I've come over here to the side, and I've taken that 2 and I put it over 1 because I want to make it into a fraction in order to make it easier to solve. So I've got 2 over 1 equals b because that's all that was left on this side of the equation. I am subtracting the 20 minus 20 over 9 from that 2 over 1. So my common denominator between 1 and 9 is going to be 9. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator here by 9. So when we do that, we end up with 18 over 1. That's what I've done right here. So we've got 18 over 1 minus 20 over 9. When we subtract 18 over 9 minus 20 over 9, we end up with negative 2 over 9. So our b is negative 2 over 9. Okay, so they want us to solve the equation. So we have solved for the slope, and we have solved for our b. So I can just plug in our b right there, and that is it. That is how you solve for the equation of a line. So first, solve for your slope. Use this formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Use that first. Solve for the slope. If you end up with a whole number, you can always put it over 1, okay? You don't have to, but you can put it over 1. Okay, and then once you find that slope, then take one of the points that they have given you and plug it in for the x and the y. And you're just gonna multiply and then isolate that b, okay? What I would like for you guys to do today is problem set 106. It's on page 448 and 449. You're gonna do problems 7 through 15. When you finish, just snap a picture, send it to me so that way I know you've got it, you're on the right track. If you have any problems, any questions at all, please do not hesitate to call or text me. I will have my phone on me all day, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.